Okay.
which I hope to direct.
Cool. Awesome.
I am also working on my graduate thesis film for Tish, and it's a feature documentary.
Cool.
So that ends also working on building it as this multi-platform piece as well.
Yeah, awesome.
That's
I'm actually looking for a short to produce.
Alright, cool. What was your names? Sorry? I'm just getting everyone's names.
Oh, sorry, Debelina. Lena for short.
Okay.
Jessie.
Jessie.
Shaniqua.
Shaniqua.
Paul.
I know you.
Yeah.
And
Hi, I'm Lucy. I'm actually here more for intrigued about the valuation and distribution side.
Sure.
I'm doing my MBA over at STEM. Hoping to get into the industry on a distribution or marketing for specifically around independent films.
okay.
So yeah, I'm just intrigued
Cool.
to how it all works.
Alright, so the user interface right now I've actually deliberately tried to keep simple. There's a lot going on in the background, and also we're going through a process where we're replatforming a little bit as well. So we're adding some extra features and lots of different other things are going on. So this is the basic interface. I actually made it as simple as possible only because a lot of the tools that are used on the business end of filmmaking right now tend to be very complicated. So literally all you need to do is just come through. You log in through Facebook, which I've kind of skipped a little bit. So if you come to our site, you get a landing page where you're presented with some SSL secure socket layer options to log in through Facebook, Google, or Twitter. So you can use federated authentication to do that, which just means you can use all of those things again. Next one. Let's just put that there. Okay, cool. Just like that. Is that good? Okay, cool. So yeah, so what you're looking at here is just basically a pick list, which gives you the genre of the film, and also how much you're looking for. So I've actually kept the dial on here capped out at $1 million, simply because for a lot of reasons in the industry, the $1 million range and invisible line, if you like, is a place that represents things over that are films made by more experienced directors. Their CPI per the price of their video releases is higher. They have more resources. Yeah. So the platform is actually specifically built for you guys. So basically, what you do is you choose, let's say, it's $500,000. And then what we're actually doing between those two steps right there is we're passing your social presence, so your Facebook account, and federated connected services. So if you have IMDb presence, we're just doing a basic scrape, which is just a comparison of information from your Facebook account to IMDb to see if you're on IMDb. There's about 17 other platforms we do that with as well. And we build a basic filmmaker profile about you. So what kind of films have you made? Have you made any films? What budgets have they been? Those kind of things. So what's actually being brought back here is my personalized filmmaker profile. And in future versions of the platform, what you're actually going to see here is the specific context around which films you're working on right now. So that's a simple process whereby we go to IMDb, it says pre-production, we bring that in, that's assumed to be the film that you're working on. And this is the user validated step. So basically at that point, you just choose how similar these things are to your actual profile. I actually like them, they're actually pretty good. Cyborg is not really my type of thing. And Mad Max is a pretty good movie, and so is Seven Samurai. So what you're actually doing here is providing user input values for the system to be able to tell what kind of filmmaking profile you have. In doing that, there's a comparison that happens around the comparison films that you've given and who you are as a filmmaker, which allows us to be able to pass certain parts of the internet, specifically the linguistics in Twitter and a lot of other different API sources, as to what's popular right now from a film perspective. So think less of this as kind of predicting how my film is going to do, and more what is the audience for a film idea that is out there. And so once you've done that, you basically just move on to the next step. Now, these numbers have been deliberately encapsulated to be simple. What you're actually looking at the first theatrical release number is three things. It's an aggregated look from a very high level as to what the audience in relation to the emotional spectrum, in relation to the metadata spectrum of your film idea is. In English, that basically means this is my film idea, this is how it relates to all of the different things happening on different social channels, and one step beyond that, this is how people would feel if there was a film idea that I released similar to a property that exists already. And then basically what you do from that is, all right, to give you a real context for this, basically what's happening is there's a packet request that goes out from the site to Instagram around certain hashtags. The number of people who are hashtagging about things related to your film idea are then counted, and then a socio-economically adjusted price, the theatrical release price of how much someone would pay in the region of the country for theatre tickets is assigned to the number of people who are brought back as part of the algorithm, and that gets you that top level number. The second number is basically built from three things really, and I'm going to show you guys a few of the data sources in a second. But if you said, all right, how many kind of films out there are very similar to mine? What are people paying to acquire them? That is the number that you then get back, and it's usually slightly higher than the audience number. Hollywood right now uses the standard comps model to be able to say, okay, here's my 4 films, here's the 42-week distribution of those films, and it's just an average at the bottom. So a lot of the big studios use that. This is basically exactly the same thing, but using social APIs and a number of other things to be able to get a more accurate estimate. So the next thing is the bit that's actually really exciting. So basically this first option here just connects you with angel investors being high net worth individuals who potentially would invest in a film. The next part is crowdfunding. So basically there's just a couple of APIs out here which are built on you using your SSL'd, I keep using technical terms. If they're very confusing, stop me and say, yeah, I'm very confused by that, and I'll actually turn them into English. But you get to go to each of these sites being walked in using your Facebook information. And also what we will be adding is what's called aggregated crowdfunding through a recently released aggregated crowdfunding API, which basically means you can run crowdfunding campaigns across 17 or 18 different crowdfunding sites, doubling your attention if you so desire. Some people don't, some people do. And then the next part of it is just bank lending based on your film asset. And here's the exciting part. And actually what's happened since we've done this is I have some state contacts and they've taken some of our process, which is all right, and used it on the actual tax side. And I'll go into the tax aspect in a second. So basically, these are all the services that we've actually already scraped based on your Facebook profile. So we actually already have the information from all these services. So for me, it would, if I just clicked on my IMDb has already been brought into the platform. It's calculated for it, it's great. The latest movie that I'm actually working on, which is Band on the Run, which is, if any of you know the Beatles at all, that's one of their songs, and there's a production company who we're working with who got the rights to that, and we're helping them make a movie. So what you're looking at here is all of the fields required to get a tax credit in New York State. And I'd love to hear your questions on this, because like it's a bit that we're definitely working on. It's taking a very complex process, encapsulating it in simplicity, and then allowing that to kind of enable the low budget film community to finance itself without kind of bigger production companies, studios, and all these different people. So yeah, there's a lot of different, I actually go through all these because usually I kind of skip over this because it's the boring part, but basically this first part you're looking at here is the qualification steps that encapsulate how much you can actually write off on your film. Depending on which one of those boxes you tick, you can write off anywhere from between 30 to 50% of the expenses on your film and receive either a tax certification or a tax credit. The difference being one is paid out sooner than the other and one is not rescindable and one is. What California have actually done, which the more students we get on the platform and the more students we work with, we want to try and get done here, is they've added a web series category as well. So the minimum that you can actually apply for a tax credit is between $15,000 to $20,000. If you've got a film below that, you can kind of shoehorn it in as a meant for television movie, and then in the actual application we'll be pitching to TV networks, but it's not a television movie right now. And you can get something less than that kind of magic line of budget into the tax process. But California has built a specific category for web series under $10,000, and we want to try and get that going here as well. So basically, the next part is very basic metadata just around who you are, what you're doing, very straightforward stuff, who the producer is, who's post-production, editor, production accountant, blah, 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 blah. All very basic stuff. So one of the things involved in the calculation process is if you're using what's called a qualified production facility. So this would be a qualified production facility. Your bedroom with your iMac's not a qualified production facility. So basically what that then decides is how much of the tax return, what bracket you see into beyond what you're making, the type of film that you're making. And then that's calculated there. And what's really cool that New York State haven't yet done, that we have done and we will do more of, is basically we simplify this calculation process a lot. So if I was actually to, it would take a long time to fill all these things out right now, but if I was actually to fill all these things right now, I'd get a more accurate version of what I'm about to generate. But we built some AI using a programming language called Prolog, which basically looks at your filmmaker profile, looks at similar films and your comps and the budgets of those films, and it builds you a synthetic budget from that on its own. So it basically prepares the entire application for you. So, and I'll go on to show you kind of the official state version of this in a second. So what you're actually looking at here is the really boring thing that accountants up until now have always done for people applying for tax credit.